Hi there, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of the Cloudbase Mayhem. I'm recording this about 3 weeks post-race. I'm sitting in a hotel beneath Antholz in Italy. Had a great day of flying yesterday with a couple of upcoming guests, Alex Roby and Primo Sousa. Aaron Durogati was also in the sky, and also a whole bunch of other really, really good pilots. Finally got a shot at that beautiful triangle here that they do down into the Dolomites, which has been on my hit list for many, many years. But this episode is, I went to a whole bunch of the athletes, so this is just a few of them, and asked pretty much the same questions. Best day, worst day, advice for people thinking about doing the X-Alps, biggest mistake, will you do it again? I changed it up a little bit, what we hear from Maxime and Kriegel and Paul Guschelbauer and a whole bunch of the athletes. This one is Nick Neynens, Kinga Masztalerz, Aaron Durogati, and Gaspard Petiot. A bunch of they are all big fan favorites. Thought we'd kick it off with them. We've got about 7 at least hours of content here with all the interviews. Today's is about 90 minutes. We're going to put this one out and listen to the feedback and decide if we should put the others. We'll break the other ones up in at least 2 more episodes. But I'm obviously way into the Red Bull X-Alps, and I know many of you are, but many of you probably aren't, and this will be redundant in some ways. So we'll either put the other ones out as like bonus content or as regular shows, depending on what we hear. So, but for now, I think you'll really enjoy this, get these folks' perspective on what is most definitely the greatest game on Earth. This year was physically unbelievable with that stability at the end with the last 3 days, and in the middle days we had all those thunderstorms and never really heard a beep out of our Varios, but an exciting race, very cool course, although you'll hear some thoughts about how it wasn't, with so many more waypoints, it didn't allow us a lot of freedom to make big moves. We basically followed each other around because there wasn't enough distance between the waypoints to get very creative with our routes. So we've given that feedback to Red Bull. Hopefully that will change. We'll actually do Zoom. Hopefully that'll change in the future. But yeah, it was an epic race, as it always is. Tons of fun, a little bit of heaven, a little bit of hell, everything in between, as I've said. So I hope you enjoyed this show. Let us know what you think. Ping me afterwards, after you've listened, and let me know what you think we should do with the rest of the content. We've got a whole bunch more. Like I said, at least 7 hours of content here with a lot of the different athletes. So, and I know you want to hear from Kriegel and some of the others. So we will release it, just not sure how we're going to do it. But for now, enjoy this show and give you a little relive of the Red Bull X-Alps. Okay, now, and everybody's fan favorite, Nick Neynens, the guy who claims he doesn't train and does it in jandals. Everybody loves Nick, me included. We've had him on the show before, of course, and Nick is just awesome. He had a really slow start, and this one had a rough first day. But I kept saying to my team, you can't count Nick out. You can't count Nick out. He's going to make magic moves. He always does. And he did. He fought from the back and had some good days there and kept moving up and kept moving up and kept moving up. Ended up in 15th place. Did really well. He does it, most of us have these big RVs and creature comforts, and he does it in like a little Subaru with his mom and his brother in tents. So hats off to Nick. Incredible to watch, super fun to watch, and does a great job with social media. So I'm sure you all saw a bunch of his posts and stuff, but here's Nick Neynens. Nick, so cool to talk to you, man. I appreciate you taking some time out on one of your transfers here. I understand you're in Bangkok with mom, and but it's been, I think, 3 days now. I'm sure you're like me. You're still pretty tired and recovering, but congratulations on yet another epic race. You and I got started in all this madness the same year in 2015. So this was your third one, and you were, as I knew you would, you had a slow start this one, and I knew you'd make some terrific moves, which you did. So, but congratulations on another race.
Thanks a lot, Gavin, and same to you too. It was good racing with you. Next time I'll try to race a little bit closer, I suppose. And yeah, that's probably the main thing after the race is just catching up on sleep. Like, I didn't feel super tired during the race, but afterwards, as soon as it's over, you realise that you do need to catch up on sleep a little bit.
Yeah. You're gunning it hard for 12 days. I remember at one point, because you've done the X-Pier, I haven't, but I remember at one point I was thinking it was like day 7 or something, or day 8. It was like, oh man, we still have the distance left of the entire X-Pier. And I was like, oh man, this is a big slog.
Yeah. I guess that's what I like about X-Alps, because X-Pier was fantastic adventure as well, but especially if you're coming from Australia or New Zealand, you're coming so far to have the whole race. Like, once they did X-Pier basically in 3 days, it's like, X-Alps, at least you can get your teeth stuck in and really have a good slog, besides all the briefings and transfers and airplanes and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Actually get some time to
sure
on the ground stuff.
Nick, I'm going to ask you the same questions I'm asking everybody else. I'm not sure this first one is all that relevant because you have done it twice before, but is there anything you underestimated about this race in retrospect?
Well, I guess it's basically what happened this race is I slipped behind at the start. I made a few mistakes that just sort of got me off the pace a little bit, and then really sunk the boat at Kronplatz, where there was like afternoon storms and everyone else had a really long flight towards Zugspitze. And I just got way behind because of those storms. And the next day it took ages to get going again as well. So it's getting a bit harder to catch up again these days. Everyone's the quality, the standard is pretty high. So if you make mistakes, they get punished pretty hard.
What was your biggest mistake?
Yeah, so, well, on the first day I bombed out, but that didn't affect things greatly, I don't think, because it was really cloudy and most people had to land a bit further anyway, but it just meant I walked quite a bit, and I still was a little behind. So I just lost, maybe because I lost a couple of hours. So the next day I was under pressure, and then I lost a couple more hours scratching away somewhere. But then I was lucky with a low save. But really what I should have done better is flying all the way to Aschau Turnpoint. I didn't top up with height, and I should have basically I landed short of Kürsen, and I had to the leaders tagged Aschau that night and then flew with the valley winds, and that's what I wanted to do. Like, they did the easy part of the flight where you had the valley winds behind you, and you just racked up some easy Ks mountains. And because of that, I was just several hours behind the pace, and that meant that the window closed with the storms on Kronplatz, and I couldn't get through Kronplatz basically. So that the biggest setback was not getting through Kronplatz, and that's because I made a few mistakes that just put me a little bit off the pace. And maybe if I'd been 1 hour earlier to Kronplatz, I would have got through before the rain, and it would have been fine.
That was a critical day because it was really good getting to Kronplatz for the top kind of 15 and escaping there. Leaving there was starting to get pretty scary. The skies were getting big, and those that were about an hour or so behind me really got hammered, and they were and they got pinned on that side, and that was a big difference in the ball game. Because it was quite good still on the north, so yeah, that was one of those areas where the speed thing was really critical, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, because I was a little bit behind, I was trying to sort of cut a few corners and fly fast and catch up, and because of that, I took a few risks that basically put me even further behind.
Right. Best day and worst day.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. I guess the first day was one of the worst days because I only I didn't fly long enough on that first flight from the Geisberg, and it was a relatively short day, so not that much happened, but it was still nice. I had a few glides, and I don't know, maybe the best day in terms of tactics for me was the last full day, because I started at Montjoly, close to Mont Blanc. That's the day that everyone top landed on Mont Blanc. And I managed to stay in the high mountains. A couple of times I had to land and walk over the pass to the other side, but it was a lot better than the guys who were struggling out on the Chartreuse and the Bauge further out to the smaller hills to the west, who ended up having to walk a lot, and that was sweltering heat that day. So that was my best day tactically in terms of gained a few places, but I think most of the race I was slowly clawing back places, and most of the race I felt pretty good about the whole thing. It was just that I sort of mucked it up at the start, as I did in 2015.
Yeah, you had a rough start in 2015, and you came roaring back the same. We certainly did not write you off, Nick, in the beginning. I was like, gee, we know Nick. He'll be back right back here in the end, which you were. So nicely done.
Yeah, thanks.
You know, it even said this, I think, on your bio, and that, you know, that kind of map of all the athletes that we get, but you famously, quote unquote, you know, don't really train for the race, which you talked about in the last podcast that we did. But, if you could rewind the clock, in knowing what you know now about the race that just happened, is there anything you would do differently? Any preparation or strategy or stuff with your team, or anything that you would change?
Yeah, I think if we had better weather in the pre-week, it would have been fine. I just would have got all the gear sorted. But yeah, my very first flight on that harness was during the prologue, and that day before I flew for a couple of hours, but still sort of adjusting things and sorting things out. So I was thinking maybe it would be cool to do a little vol bivvy before the event starts and just get everything sorted, so I'm sort of hitting the ground running, because basically every day through the event I felt better, and it was just the first few days, a few hiccups on the first few days that let me down. And other than that, I thought I was pretty efficient and productive, and maybe it was just because the people I was around weren't as fast as the lead pack, but it felt like I was, you know, getting the most out of the day, generally speaking.
You kind of already answered this at the very beginning, but it sounds like you will do this again. Will you do it again?
Yeah, I mean, I like it, and if I get the chance to do it again, I'd be pretty keen. It just depends on what else is going on in my life, I suppose.
What advice do you have to someone who hasn't done the X-Alps, who is watching this race, as millions of people were? They get inspired and, you know, like the idea of it. What advice would you give to somebody who hasn't done it that wants to?
Well, you're saying I don't train, but I do a lot of vol biv, which I think is really good training. And like the last thing, well, vol biv prepares you for like a huge part of the experiences that you face in X-Alps. Probably the thing it doesn't prepare for that I was lacking is just the competition flying aspect, where you have to, you know, keep up on those classic good days as well.
Yep.
I think fitness for me wasn't really a problem, but you need to be able to make sure that you can get yourself to take off, you know, several times each day. So there's lots of other hike and fly events that I would definitely want to try before signing up for the X-Alps. People get, you know, glassy eyes when they think of the X-Alps and they just want to sign up and do it, but you're better off making sure that you're ready with all those smaller races first. That's the way I did it. I did Xberg, then Xpier, and that was on top of all my years of Volbiv experience.
Sure. Yeah.
So the thing about X-Alps, especially now that the pace is so fast, that if you have a crack, you might not get another chance at it. So you want to have a pretty good crack. So like it's one of those things where people want to do it one day and they probably just take any chance they can get. But I guess sometimes you might only have that option because later you're going to have kids and family and you're not going to have time, or the circumstances aren't going to line up. But yeah, you don't really want to have a go before you're ready and then do poorly and then try it again in 2 years later, and maybe there's just too many other people that are on the waiting list ready to go, I guess. So yeah, just do lots of hike and fly stuff before you sign up for X-Alps, basically.
Yeah, that's good advice. I can offer some insight there too. Is I spent some time with folks that are not like on the committee or in the race committee. I mean, not Christoph, but that kind of know how the whole selection process works, which I still don't really know, but they did offer some advice, or well, they basically told me that you're absolutely right. If you do it, I think a lot of people, sign up, not really expecting to get in, but just they want to go through the process and they sign up, but then they do get in. And if you're not prepared very well and you don't do very well, you will most likely get skipped the next time. If you get eliminated or you don't do very well, or you make a decision that they see as kind of dangerous, then your chances of getting selected are pretty low. They're definitely looking for people that can threaten the eagle, which I don't believe many people can do, but as we just saw yet again. But
there's just so many good people for them to choose from that it's hard for them to justify giving you another go when there's so many other people that are qualified as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're going to enjoy it a lot more if you have a good crack at it. I say I do it for fun, but it's definitely more fun if you're doing well. So yeah.
Absolutely, totally. What's the most critical or vital support you got from your team?
Oh, they were so on the ball this time. I mean, they were on the ball last time as well, but the first couple of days, I mean, they were asking me before the event, saying, "Oh, what should we do? What should we do?" Like, I'll say, "Oh, don't worry, we'll figure it out, and I'll tell you everything you need to know." But then we just sort of fell into place, and it went fine. So I said, this time, when I say I don't need a battery pack, ask me again at least 4 times. And there was one time during the race where I said, "Okay, Mum, that's all right. You asked 4 times now. I don't need it, but I won't complain that you didn't ask me enough." But yeah, so that was really good. Like, I was always topped up with power, and they're always really fast and efficient finding me. And I probably got more assistance this race than I did the last race, partly because there was a lot of turn points and there was a lot of stop-start because of that. But yeah, the support was really good. I also had a team on WhatsApp, a couple of different time zones that I would just ask for information every now and then. Like, sometimes it's good to know what the other pilots are doing, especially on those hot stable days, to see if anyone's managing to stay up and if people have decided to take off and how high people are starting and stuff like that. So it's really hard to get that information because a lot of the time the reception on was hopeless. So if you can just get someone to send you a screenshot, it really helps, and just give you a little bit of commentary on what's going on. That was good as well.
And you and I talked about this a little bit. Yeah, totally. You and I talked about this a little bit before the race, but the whole race, I don't even look at the weather. I never pull up, windy. I don't do, I mean, that's totally in my team's hands. And that, I get like a weather briefing every day, or I get it when I'm in the air. But you're a meteorologist, and I'm assuming that your brother and mom don't have, nearly the weather knowledge that you do. How do you guys handle that on your team? Are you doing it, or have you kind of taught them enough that they're passing it on to you, or are you not even worrying about it? You're just looking at the sky and figuring it out?
Yeah, a lot of the time I'm just looking at the sky and figuring it out. I'm looking at windy a lot because it's got a lot of what you need. Sometimes I was asking the guys to send me, the radar, the latest radar, which you get on windy now. Or what else was I asking for? Often I'll just look at the upper winds on the meteogram on windy, and I had some because I didn't really have time to look at all these different things, but someone on my WhatsApp group would often be sending me like an enneagram, like a sounding, a forecasted, which is basically all you need to know. And you can get, I was getting that myself off Windy sometimes as well. So that just shows you how much moisture there is and what stability there is and what kind of mixing, like heights you can expect, like thermal heights. So I didn't look into it in a lot of detail. I know you can get a lot more detail out of all the different paragliding specific weather apps, but I just didn't really have time for it. And also I don't think it made that much difference because you didn't really have that much route choice. You just had to do the best you could anyway. And for example, when I went up Titlis, just looking around, you could see all the valley haze and it just sort of looked stable. And then when I took off, it felt stable. And then I was scratching on these huge big bluffs facing the sun later and I couldn't get up. So I was like, yep, it is stable. So you can kind of figure it out anyway. But I guess where weather makes a difference is if it changes your decision making. So I was actually really lucky on one of those stormier days where it was raining fairly heavily in the morning, so I slept in for a couple of hours. Then I hiked up when it was basically stopped raining and flew just before it started raining. And then I got up to that pass just before Davos, and there was some really heavy rain when I was walking up to the pass. But as I got to the pass, it started to clear, and it was perfect just to fly down. And I timed it perfectly that day, but I think that came down a lot to luck. We were looking at the radar as well. There was another day where I just squeaked into Zugspitze just before the storms came. So, that day we were looking at the radar, and that was like a system that was moving through. It wasn't storms that were developing locally. So, a bit of nowcasting, checking out what's – like I guess the one of the main things is whether you've got to decide whether you've got to walk up the hill and fly or just keep walking on the highway because there might be a storm that makes it impossible to fly and shuts the whole place down for hours and hours, and you'd be wasting your time if you were sitting on the side of the hill. So, I didn't get any weather hold-ups like that this time, and I was,
I found that, when they announced the course, I was really excited about it, and I think it was a great course. It was an awesome route, but I would totally agree with you that with the more turn points and the shorter distances, there was the big decision point leaving Kronplatz. You could go east, you could go west, or you could go the Brenner and walk. There was, you basically had those three options there. And then leaving the Zugspitze, you could go the northern route or the southern route. And other than that, there really wasn't. You just kind of had to put your head down and keep moving. There wasn't the flexibility in the route or the creativity that we've had in the last couple that I really enjoy. I hope they back that off in the future because it really was, there were a few little option changes going up the Rhine in terms of which pass you walked over, whether it be the Oberalp or one of the earlier ones, which most people did. But there wasn't really like flying wise. Nobody really flew Davos to Titlis except Kriegel, but there you could go up the Rhine or you could go the northern side, but there wasn't that many options like there has been. Yeah. I like the big gaps where you can really see some creativity in what people do.
Yeah, totally. I think for the fans, that's one of the really exciting things too, because you see people take different routes and you trying to figure out which one's better. But there were some of the most exciting parts of the race for me were still route choice related. So there was still some route choice, even though they had so many turn points close together. Yeah. The worst turn points were, having Eiger and then Titlis with the airspace directly in between them and no way around it. That was, I hope they don't do that again.
Yeah. They're
the closest turn points of the race, and they got airspace wedged right between them, and it just depends if you're there on a weekday or before or after hours whether you can get through or not.
Yeah, and that was really luck. I mean, God, I was there on a Sunday. I didn't have to worry about it at all, and Yeah, it was just terrific. I got up there and I waded through a snowstorm, and then I got a little window and got to fly out. I didn't have to worry about it. But yeah, I tried to do that when it was on in training. It's basically impossible, that was, I hope they changed that as well. Although I think they're a turn point partner for a while, so I'm not sure. But well, Nick, thank you very much, man. I'll let you get back to your sleep before your next flight. Give your best to your mom and your brother. It was great to see them again. And congratulations on yet another epic race. I felt like this year was epic in every way. We had a little bit of everything. It was fantastic. So much fun. And it was good racing with you again, man.
Yeah, you too, Gavin. Thanks for the interview. And yeah, it might be time to head out for some pad thai.
Yeah, there you go. Cool, bud. Talk soon. See you at Cloudbase.
Yeah, you too. Cheers.
Kinga Masztalerz, New Zealand 2, another fan favorite, one of the female athletes this year, along with Dominika. Unfortunately, she was eliminated near the end, and after a really epic battle with the Korean, and those two went all night. And she talks about that and making a little mistake in the morning, which cost her the elimination. But a great first effort from this rookie. I'm sure we will see her again. She has not been flying very long, and shares some really cool thoughts about the race and the future. Here's Kinga. Kinga, welcome to the Mayhem. Really excited to have this conversation with you. We didn't see much of each other in the race, so I was watching on live tracking whenever I could in the mornings when I was walking and stuff, and I watched your epic battle at the end, and so I can't wait to hear about that. But I'm sorry the Axeman got you there after a few days, but I know it was still an epic adventure, and no matter where we place in these things, you're owed a huge amount of congratulations. I know it's an awesome effort. And so first off, just congratulations in your Red Bull X-Alps campaign.
Thanks, Gavin. It's awesome to talk to you here, and it's awesome. It was awesome to be in Red Bull X-Alps. It was quite an adventure. And we didn't see each other much because you were just way too ahead for me, too much in front. So, but, it was the first time. I'm relatively inexperienced pilot. So even being there and learning from some of the best pilots in the world, it was an amazing experience, and seeing all the lines that other pilots choose and in different conditions, the decisions that others make. It's such a steep learning curve. It's amazing. I've learned in a week. I learned probably more than I would learn in a year of flying solo somewhere, cruising through the mountains. So sure. It completely blew my mind. What you can do with the paraglider, what personally, even what not only what better pilots can do, but even what I can do with paraglider, how much capacity I have, which I don't usually use. And you need this particular surrounding and logistics and support and safety net and on the pilots around that Red Bull X-Alps gives you to just dig deep and get access to 100% of your capacity. So it was super inspiring experience for me.
Yeah, there's my buddy Nate Scales, who is really a mentor of mine and a guy I fly with at home, and just an exceptional pilot. He did the X-Alps in 2007, and his saying is always there's only one way to get to that place, and in the X-Alps, you're going to get there guaranteed. It's like, that's hard to describe to people that who haven't done it, but you're going to get to a very special place in your mind and your body that you almost can't even train for. But let me run through these questions, and you don't have to answer them quickly, but I'm just kind of asking the same questions of everyone and seeing where we go. But what was the number one thing you underestimated? And when you look back at the race and your training and the preparation, what was the biggest thing that caught you off guard that you would have maybe done differently?
I would say that first thing that comes to my mind, there are two things. First thing that comes to my mind is a team, how important it is. And because usually we just think about the what athletes do and what kind of decisions they make, and then the team is there to, to follow you the car, to feed you and help you to make some decisions potentially. But there's so much more and dynamics of the team, especially after a week into the race when everybody get tired. You really see in this race what you are made of. And it's not only about us athletes. This race really pulled out all the best and all the worst of who I am, but also of the whole team changes and dynamics changes. And yes, now I understand better what I should have, what I shouldn't have, maybe which type of people is good for this adventure and which not necessarily, because after a week under pressure and when people get tired, it can become a little bit difficult. So I didn't appreciate enough this part. I kind of thought that as long as we are just, a bunch of friends, it will all roll itself. And suddenly it didn't because I guess maybe I didn't brief the team precisely enough. Maybe I thought that the dynamics will sort itself out, but after a week of being tired and under pressure, nothing sorts itself out anymore. So maybe the fact that I was inexperienced in such a long race and with so much pressure and the team that I have chosen and that I'm very grateful they decided to go through this adventure with me, but all dynamics didn't go as well as I hoped for, if it makes sense. So this is definitely, I didn't appreciate that it's such a team race, such a team adventure. We usually just think about the athlete and the supporter, and I just didn't appreciate how many people are involved into the success or failure of particular athlete. And I also saw it during the race, how some other athletes, how especially like vets have done it a couple of times already or a few times, how well sorted is everything around them, so they can focus on what they should be focusing, not on all the logistics.
The real key for me is that I don't have to think at all, that the team does all of that. I mean, obviously when I'm in the air, you're trying to kind of go on autopilot and just fly your glider and make good moves. And that's certainly thinking, but yeah, it's really your support team in this race is just so critical. I mean, in a lot of ways they're working harder than we are. And
so I think important. Now that maybe it was a little bit of my own insecurity that I thought about people who would be really suitable for my team. But maybe I was too shy to ask, because I thought, who I am to ask them if, I'm just like, I'm just a tourist here. And now I think it was completely silly, because the better it's like, like failing to prepare is preparing to fail, basically. And it had a huge impact at the end on my overall performance. Obviously, I'm not saying at all that, that I don't know, that my performance, that's anything was the fault of my team. I'm just saying that I myself might have prepared better around this kind of team logistics and now I know.
Yeah, there's a lot you don't know as a rookie team. I mean, in 2015 when I did it my first time, there was pages of stuff at the end of the race. I mean, it was my best placing, but it was still
well for your first performance.
Yeah, we did, but it was flyable. Yeah, we did, but there's a lot you don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah. Second thing that I would think that kind of maybe it didn't surprise me, but it's something definitely to work on. For me, it's this kind of consistency that you need to have every single day in this race, because you have one day that you are out of focus, something happens that completely that put you out of focus, and then the race is basically running away. The field is running away. So it's relatively easy to keep this focus for a few days. But here we are racing for 12 days, and it's a long time. I think I didn't appreciate how long this race really is, because it's a bit different when you do races, other races, let's say, that take up to 6 days. And here after 6 days, you're just, halfway into the race and it's just kind of getting started,
Yeah.
So I, for sure, I didn't appreciate I think it was like, and it's still a little bit overwhelming. It's a long race. It's a bloody long journey. And there's so many things that will happen that at the end of it, you feel like the beginning was, a month ago, because it's so many things happen. Everything is so intense. So yeah, this intensity for many days in a row with the lack of sleep. Yeah, I didn't appreciate how big it really is. But I guess you can't really imagine it unless you do it, because yeah.
Well, I can also
Mm.
tell you, just from my, this was my third campaign, that the pace, got a lot faster in 2017, and then it just got a lot faster in 2019. Like everybody's getting more pro, more fit, better in the air, better organized, better support crews. It's gone from a proper adventure race back in 2003 where everybody's carrying pots and pans and you'd wait 10K for your buddy to catch up and you were just having one in the mountains, to like a real, Tour de France type pace, but with paragliders.
Yeah, right.
And so it's really hard, I think, for people to come into it now without a lot of experience and a lot of background, because the pace is vicious. It was so fast this time. It was just mind blowing. I can't believe how fast these teams are moving. So, well, hey, next question, which you maybe have already answered, but what was your biggest mistake?
I guess my biggest mistake was on the maybe fourth day. I have to say right now, fourth or fifth day, I listened to the advice of a very good cross-country pilot, very experienced pilot who lives in the area where I was at this moment, and I didn't really listen to my guts, and I was I was thinking about it for too long, just kind of wasn't able to make this decision, and instead against like what I thought, against what this very experienced pilot who really knows better in every sense. So I finally listened to him, and it was a disaster. I ended up wasting the whole day running around in circles, a lot of energy, and I put a lot of energy into it and didn't make much progress. And this was very interesting lesson for me, just to really start trusting myself more, because you try to always, this is a difficult part in this race, that you have your own feeling and your own look at the weather conditions and the topography and everything. Then you have some support that tells you to do something, potential that advises you the best they can, and then there's the other athletes doing particular things that may think that maybe it's a good idea or maybe it's bad, but you have to center yourself in all this. And for me, it was quite a tricky part. And then once I made this mistake and actually made this wrong decision, which completely screwed up the whole day, which was actually quite a good day, and I might have made quite a progress, I digged myself in it a little bit, started stressing out, and then it influenced the next decisions and a couple of next days. And this one was the biggest. Yeah, exactly. And this one was the biggest part of it, because once you make a mistake, okay, it's done, and you have to just cut it off and think about the future. And this is also something that we learn with experience. Some people are born this way. I'm rather born in a very I have this very analytical approach that like to really learn from mistakes. So, but it also means analyzing these mistakes, and it's like there's no time for it in this race, so we have to just cut it off and keep going. And I digged myself in this hole for way too long, and yeah, so it was totally kind of rookie mistake, but also I guess this is something that you learn with experience, that who to trust, and basically trust yourself first of all. There's a reason why you are participating, not some other advisors.
You know what though? I mean, the other thing I would like to say to you is that the mistakes are so inevitable, and they're just part of the game, and without them you can't learn anyway. So it's your attitude's great. Yeah, you're gonna make mistakes. That's inevitable, and
absolutely.
And the main thing is just to learn from it. And so they're all. I found, like in 2015, we made more mistakes than the other campaigns by far, but I found that they were all acceptable mistakes. They were all like, yeah, I mean, how could we have known, and how would we know differently if we didn't do them?
Exactly.
So hey, so let's keep things moving. Just briefly, best day and worst day, and why?
Best day was probably my last day. When I was flying from upper in Valley and crossover to Davos, and was chasing the Korean athlete, and all the way, basically all day long. And it had I finally, after digging myself a little bit into misery and stress, I came back to the light, and and it was, I finally felt how it should feel, I guess, how this race can feel when you just race and keep going on a high pace and good energy, and have this direct target of chasing someone. In this case, the Korean athlete. It doesn't have to be necessarily about your ranking, about winning, about this or that. It's just there's particular energy created around it that finally I felt like, wow, this is like how X-Alps feels like. It was so high paced and so such good flying and good energy, and I was so motivated. And after the last flight, I was 3 kilometers behind the Korean athlete, and I started chasing him on foot, and I felt like I can run forever, and I was laughing before the race. Oh, we don't usually run, we just hike during the race. And then off I went running, 10 kilometers per hour for next 3 hours and overtook him and felt like nothing is impossible. So that was definitely the very best this moment. And I finally felt, yeah, this is how X-Alps should feel like. This is how it feels for our top guns. Somewhere they're already in front, but
beautiful.
And
was your worst day the getting cut, or was it one of the other ones?
Yeah, the worst day. I mean, getting cut. It was obviously heartbreaking, but it was very short, it was just an hour in the morning, and getting cut obviously was heartbreaking because I just had it, but I also felt like I did everything I could have done, and the rest was just, my supporter was next to me with a phone, staring in this phone, live tracking, etc. So it would never come to my mind that he would take me to the wrong valley that will get lost on the road. So I just had impression, it was a mistake, of course, and I don't even think it's his fault, because he, during all the days before, he's been managing so much and trying to put all this team together, and it was so stressful for him that I can understand that he made this very simple and silly from outside mistake. We all make mistakes, so I wouldn't even say that was the worst, because of course it was. I mean, we got eliminated and it was heartbreaking, but at the same time I felt that I got it. I did what I could here, and again, another lesson, always double check. And I always do double check after my supporter or whoever. I actually always choose my route myself. It was the one single time when I didn't, because he just, okay, I got it, you just run. I was like, okay, no problem, I run. It's a straight road. We can't get lost here.
Right.
So with it, I would say that the worst day was probably I don't know, there was quite a few lows, it's like so intense. There's so highs are so highs and lows are so low. But I guess maybe this mentioned the day that I mentioned when I
spinning
listened to
circles.
wrong advice, and then I started like digging myself deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole instead of just just like shaking it off and it's like, hey, okay, let's act like nothing happened. And I started getting a little bit stressed because I slipped in this ranking. I was doing quite well until this moment. So, and then it's just like everything got a little bit nervous, and so yeah, probably this day. But I would say that for me personally, the amount and quality of positive moments is completely like incomparable. Like there was a few very low lows, but at the end, it was such an amazing experience that even at the worst moments, I was still, oh my God, I would love to do it again. I was completely like somewhere in the rain when I can't take off because I completely screwed up before, and I'm just completely like freezing my ass off and completely miserable. And it's just like, yeah, I would love to do it again because I'm learning so much and so awesome as an experience.
So that's actually the next question, and I know that we've only had a few days to process this, but it sounds like yes, you will do it again, or you'd love to do it again.
Oh, if I have a chance to do it again, absolutely, I want to do it again. This is completely addictive, and I absolutely love the experience, and I learned so much, and also understood how much I can on some. I've been playing on 5 years, and it's intense. It's been intense, but it's a really short time if you compare it to some other athletes that you play with during this race, and to understand all these areas where I can progress and the ways I can progress and get better as a pilot, as an athlete, as a person. I mean, it's mind-blowing. I'm completely stoked with the whole event, and of course I would love to do it again, and I will be better prepared, and and I think it will be even more fun because of it, because I won't be so stressing so much, because I will also be able to solve the team dynamics and logistics better, and you learn so many things on the way, and then you have another 2 years to use these lessons and progress. I guess in 2 years it will be even more fun. Yeah.
So last question, what was the best fan experience you had along the way, or just person on the side of the road, or people come out?
There was quite a few awesome moments with people cheering me up. I guess the most beautiful was when I was in the this like during this day when I was chasing Korean athlete in the evening, when I was running after him. He was like still a couple of kilometers ahead. I was running. He was hiking, so I was closing this distance, and then some people who saw it on live tracking just drove in and joined me in running, and after a while I had a whole awesome team when running with me. It's like a free guys, running and cheering and protecting me from coming cars, and it felt so magic, because they just left their cars behind and just went on running with me for kilometers, and there was so much energy in it. I wasn't even working anymore on I wasn't even burning sugar or anything. I was burning pure energy, pure magic,
Yeah, cool.
And then there was this moment when we were overtaking the Korean athlete going uphill, and he was very tired. He couldn't really respond, so he was just hiking, and he yelled at me, "You are crazy! You are completely crazy!" I was like, "Yeah, respect, awesome fight, awesome date," And it was so much energy in it, and they fed on it, and I fed on their energy, and pure magic happened there. So I think that was a beautiful fun experience. And finally, when we got to the place when we were about to spend the night, they just realized, oh, our car is like 20 kilometers behind.
Wow, that's so cool.
And like awesome. So yeah, so one of my supporters just took them there. So it was like, yeah, it was very special, very special.
Yeah, and hats off to the Korean. We keep saying that because his name's so hard to pronounce, but God, he showed some tenacity. I mean, a couple days before that, the pictures of his feet were just, they looked so bad, and he just kept marching. He showed some real grit
absolutely.
there.
Hachi, he's a warrior. That's
He
you know.
really
So
is.
I even thought at this point, I even said it while running, that he's such a warrior. I have huge respect to him, and losing with him wouldn't be a defeat, but winning feels better. And at this point, I thought, oh, of course, I'm right now. I'm winning with him because I'm already kilometer ahead, and I can't lose it. It's just hour in the morning. I just can't let it slip from my hands.
Well, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, it was a crushing way to get beat. But
yeah, it's an awesome lesson of just stay focused and just don't trust too much to others. Make your own decisions, even if it feels simple and if it feels super straightforward. Especially, I guess from live tracking. What the hell are they doing? Because it's so obvious, but we're in the middle of it, like running on the road at 5 o'clock in the morning. Everything can happen. So it's a good
everything's foggy then.
lesson. Yeah, so it's a good humbling lesson of like staying focused till the end and just keep pushing.
Yeah, copy. Kinga, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And
thank you
best
so much
of luck
for
to you.
Gavin.
Yeah, thank you. And best of luck. And I wish you great rest and recovery. And hope to see you in 2021 for the next one, if not before. But thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. Cheers.
One of my favorites had an incredible run in 2017 until he had a little crash and got pretty injured. Gaspard Petiot, amazing pilot, definitely one of the best pilots in the race consistently. And he came back furiously this year and had a really good race. I was hanging on to him through day 8, and he was one of the 10 who got to Monaco, had an incredible race. He talks about it being his best. We don't know if we'll see him again. He talks about that in this episode, but a great little chat here with a good friend of mine, an amazing pilot, amazing X-Alps pilot, Gaspard Petiot. Gaspard, it's a real treat to talk to you, man. It's just been a few days since the end of the race. Thanks for coming on the Mayhem. And I was terribly disappointed to lose you guys day 8. I was just behind you and Tom, and I think one other person when you guys bumped into the Rhone, and I had a really bad day in that kind of first stable day and went nowhere. So sorry to lose you guys. That was a fun pack for quite a long time, but congratulations on an epic race, man. I know that was, we had a little bit of everything in this one, and also very physical for you and I, the older guys that have bad knees and stuff. But we got to walk a little bit together. I think that was day 1 or day 2, but yeah, congratulations. Nice job.
Thank you very much. But you did an awesome job too, huh?
Yeah, no, it was a terrific race, wasn't it? I really enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was very alpine and I think it was the most beautiful one in the sense that we were always in the alpine range, always walking in the snow and with the glaciers. It was super nice.
Yeah. I wish they hadn't put the St. Hilaire turn point in, but that one was a bitch. Jeez, it was stable when we got down there. But yeah, yes. You took a really deep line going in there. I think you were the only one in the air that evening. I was watching as I was walking through Chamonix, and that was a good move.
Well, actually, I was trying to find some unstable air in the altitude, but this day I think anywhere you would go, it was stable everywhere. So it didn't work the way I expected to work, but at least I didn't. And I mean, for me, there was no way I could walk on this concrete for all day, especially with this heat. So it was a way to avoid this.
Yeah, no, that was smart. Have you ever seen, I haven't asked anybody else this yet, but have you ever seen stability like that? Cause that's not something we deal with at home at all. We never get stable days. We get more stable than unstable day, like it's all on a scale, but I've never seen anything like that. That was just unbelievable.
Yeah, it was pretty unbelievable. It happens sometimes, especially in Saint-Hilaire. But usually we get a lot of stability down there. I mean, on the lower, on the lower bases. But then when you go up, I mean, up to 2,500 meters, normally you have some instability. This was very special in a way that it was stable everywhere at every altitude, and I mean, even in Chamonix, it was stable, and this is very, very uncommon.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was like flying in soup.
I
just couldn't wait for my Vario to make some noise other than than going down.
Yes.
Well, hey, so I'll go through these questions, answer them however you like, and take your time. If you want to jump into a story or something, go for it. But you've done the race now twice before, the same years as I did. But did you underestimate anything coming into this one? Anything really catch you off guard?
Actually, when we came to this one, it was we wanted to end this race again, and we wanted to go to the end of it. And I mean, we stopped the last one on an injury, and we wanted to end this race. But I was really scared about my body, about my ability that physically I would be able to end this race. And so we were a bit scared when we started the race. And actually, yes, fortunately, my body could keep up and could make it, I mean, all the way, because this race was really hard in a sense that we had the really weak condition for the Alps. I was expecting, I mean, huge thermals and a lot of wind, and we had almost no wind and really, really smooth and weak conditions.
Yeah. What was your, I was watching you guys on that final leg into Monaco, and I remember that one from 2015. And of course I wish I was sharing that with you, but in that heat and those are slogs down there with those windy roads. But yeah, anyway, congratulations. It was fun to watch you get in.
Well, actually, even getting to Monaco, I mean, we were probably in the most exciting paragliding area near Saint-André, which is usually a huge place with a lot of great thermals, and I mean, it's really unstable there. And this year we were there. It was really hard and weak, and I mean, it was not usual conditions, and we had to be really patient and take our time, and even flying in goggles was not that easy because the thermals were so weak. So even getting to Monaco was hard until the last beat of flying, and this is quite unusual. And actually, I chose, when I had to choose the wing this year, I had my weight is just between the two ranges, between a small one and a medium small. And I said, okay, I'll take the small wing because it's usually super strong with a lot of wind, and I want to be secure with the small wing. And I mean, it happened totally the contrary. It was really weak with no wind at all. And for sure, I got the wrong wing. If I had to do it again, I would probably take a big one or a huge wing to be able to use those really weak thermals. It was like competing in Brazil, like very in flatlands. I mean, it was really unusual.
Yeah. And you were on the zeolite as I was, correct?
Yes, I was on the zeolite, but it was really small. And for example, in day 2, we were flying in goggles, and I couldn't keep up with the goggles because I couldn't fly. I couldn't, lift myself in the thermal, with the right amount of speed. And I was always left behind. And that's why it took me a long time to come back from the back of the ranking.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that in a bit because I was watching you keenly on live tracking on the walks. Gaspard, what was your biggest mistake in the race?
I don't think that I made a big mistake. For me, probably the big mistake was to is that one is probably that
The wrong way.
I believe that the condition I thought that the condition would be really strong. Usually I'm a pilot that is usually my abilities, my how to say that, my tricks, my
Your strength.
all the things what I know how to do, is flying in the wind and in strong conditions. I'm not a super good PWC pilot because I don't like it when it's really smooth and weak. And this year, I mean, it was not a race designed for me in the sense that we had to walk a lot. We had to hike 4,000 meters every day, which I'm not. I mean, as good as the youngest guy we have in the field, and we had to fly in this really weak thermals, and this is not what I'm super good at. But despite all this, we could stay with the group and we could keep up and make a good race. And I think after all, we believe that the race was pretty nice for us.
Yeah, actually, absolutely. Best day and worst day?
The best day is for sure day 3. I think when I come back from the back of the ranking, when I think I'm 22 or maybe 20 at the beginning of the day when I'm near our show, coming back from our show, turn point 1, 2, 3 or 3 or 4, and I'm heading to Kronplatz, and I'm really back in the ranking, and I choose when I'm heading back north from Kronplatz to Zugspitze, I choose left line.
Yeah, you went into the Solden.
Yeah, and this allows me to come back in the ranking, and I end the day I'm in 3rd position, and this is great because I believed in this option from the beginning, but I was the only one to choose it, and at the end it works. So it was really it was fantastic.
Yeah, that was, it's so amazing how people can influence you. But that was my first option, was going the route you did. I really wanted to go that way. And then of course the second option was to go the east line, which is, Meyerhofen, which is the way I ended up going. And then the third option, of course, is going the Brenner if the weather was terrible and walking across the airspace. But right before the race, I was sitting chatting to Kriegel, and I was asking him about that. And he said, I really like the west line. It's a little bit shorter. I like that. But the problem with that is you always run into the Bavarian winds, and the way they have the Zugspitze line off to the northeast, it's going to be really hard to get up through there after you leave the Solden. And so I like the east line. And it was crazy. When I left Kronplatz about 15 minutes, I was in good position. It was just starting to blow up and getting kind of ugly, and I left in good, 15 minutes behind those guys. And it was very easy crossing the spine again and getting into kind of Zellenzeller and Meyerhofen area. But it's an area I don't know at all. And I got completely stuck there in the valley winds for a very long time. And I didn't land. I stayed in the air, but then a big cell blew up off to our east down the Pinzgau. And in the gust front, the dropout just got me. And I sat on the top of the mountain trying to get off. It was blowing over the back hard, and I couldn't get off. And I was watching you on live tracking going, I should have gone that way. And you were flying, I think, with Willie through there too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, at the beginning, when we got in Kronplatz, Willie arrived in Kronplatz just a few minutes before, and when I got here, he said, "Okay, Gaspard, I'm gonna fly with you. I want to follow you a bit." So I said, "Okay, let's go on the left side." And so Willie and I started to aim the west side. But here, for sure, it was not really engaging because the first part was just blue sky with no cumulus at all. So we knew we had a lot of valley wind coming in, and it would be tricky to go through. But I was confident, and I was leading. Willie was just behind me. And when I started really to engage myself, I think he didn't trust it.
He said that. Finally, he said that to me on Facebook a couple of days ago. He said, "I don't know why I left him." And I said, "You never leave Gaspard, ever. Never leave him."
Yeah, he made this mistake, and then he got stuck in this valley wind. And I think this was a bad decision, but luckily for me, it worked pretty well.
Yeah, it worked great. Okay, so worst day.
Worst day is probably even if you won't believe it, but it's probably the day when we started at 3,000 meters on a glacier near Sion Valley, and we tried to reach Chamonix.
Yeah,
Actually,
because it was slow for you guys.
Exactly.
Really
it was not that bad because at the end of the day, we reached finally Chamonix. But I mean, we had planned so many. We had so many plans in our head, and we decided to aim this valley. I mean, chatting with the forecast, and we were sure to do something really right. And we fought for it really, really hard. We hiked this huge glacier. We found a takeoff. It was super hard, and then we took off, and it was really stable. And we fought for hours to reach the Martini Valley. And here I landed, and suddenly I could see many of the wings that were far behind me, like Thomas Coconea, Manuel Nubel, and Simon Oberhauser, and they just passed me over my head, and was like, damn, I did everything I could. I planned so many ideas, and it's not working. So I was really pissed off down in the valley. And yes, I was really, I think I was really mad, and even with my team, they could feel that I was not really happy about what was happening. Fortunately, I didn't let go, and I came back, and the second part of the afternoon was much better, and we could land far away. But for a couple hours, I was really, really down there, feeling really bad and really annoyed, and I was even not really nice with my crew.
Yeah, well, when I was in the air, I was right with those guys at the Schildhorn, and Revis kept calling me because I really thought you guys made a magic move that night, getting up to that col and getting high, and it wasn't. It was stable where we were as well, but he kept calling and he was saying, "Hey, those guys are moving really slow. Just stay in the air and you're going to get them today. Stay in the air." And then I didn't. Of course, I got to the Nissen Ridge too low, and I just struggled in the stability for hours. It was just a nightmare. That was my worst day for sure. But
yeah, I think it's our worst day because this place usually works super well.
Yeah,
this day we could see huge beautiful cumulus cloud. All the signals were green, and actually when you were flying actually in this area, it was hopeful, and this is why I think it was super annoying, is that why this place are not working today. They should work, and it's not working, and that's what really annoys.
If you could prepare again, kind of rewind the clock for the last 9 months, would you do anything differently, knowing what you know now?
Well, I choose a different wing. A different size. That's the only thing. The preparation was really hard for me because of all the injuries I had. And I have to say, if someone would have told me that I would ended to Monaco in the 7th place, I would have signed. I would have signed with no. For sure I would be happy. So I think I cannot change many things. For sure, the guys in front of me are stronger. They were more trained. They are younger. They fly better. So I think that it wouldn't change a lot if I couldn't do much better, I think.
You told me before the race there was no way you'd do it again, but what do you think now? Is anything changed, or are you done?
Yeah, for sure. If I was 25, I would do it again for sure. My mind is fully into it, and I like really the adventure and all what happens around the race. But now I'm not 25. I'm 38, and I have 2 kids that are now pretty old. They're 7 and 9. And I have a lot of injuries, and it's every time getting worse and worse. And the preparation is always a nightmare. So if I'm smart, I quit. But then we will see if I'm smart enough. But if I'm smart, I shouldn't be there in 2 years.
Well, if you need some inspiration, I'm 47, buddy, so you've still got plenty of years.
Yes, but I'm probably not trained like you do. I don't know, but my body is not in a good shape, I think.
Was the injury in the 2017 race, was it quite severe?
No, it's not about the crash I had in 2017. It's more about all the stupid races I've done since I'm 16. Like I've done a lot of running and this kind of ultra trails and all kind of races, that many different kind of races, and biking and skiing and all this stupid thing I did when I was a kid. So I think my knees are just a bit old now. I mean, with all that training and it's like, I mean, when you're a football player, you quit when you're 25. It's when you're 35. So that's pretty logical that my body is now a bit old.
Yeah,
I think it is.
Yeah, it takes a lot more time to recover as well.
Yeah.
What advice you did 2015, 2017, 2019, millions of people watch this race, pilots all over the world, and they get really inspired by what they see. What advice would you give to someone thinking about participating in the Red Bull X-Alps?
Well, the first advice, and I do quite a lot of conferences to explain this, is that usually people that watches the race and that want to do it believe that you need to be a good pilot and you need to be trained to do this race. And this is true for sure, but it is not the only thing that you need to be tough in this race. I think it's a lot about thinking and a lot about strategy and about planning and preparing the race. And I think it's a really good thing to train to do some maybe some smaller race, but some kind of races that are just hike and fly races, just like this one, to be able to train how to make decisions and not to make stupid decisions, because you can be the best pilots in the world and you can be the most trained guy in the world. You can still do a bunch of mistakes and your race can be destroyed just with one little mistake. So I think there's a lot of thinking, a lot of strategy. It's a sport like I mean, it's a really it needs to be learned. It's not you just cannot.
You can't just tough your way through.
Yeah,
it.
you just cannot. Yeah, you cannot just imagine this. I mean, you have to learn it. And I think that's the best advice. Usually, when you're too trained, when you're too tough on the ground, this is where you make the biggest mistake, because you believe that you'll always be able to keep up with your legs, which is totally wrong. Sometimes you can do really smart moves with a little hiking and a good flying. Yeah, and I believe I'm by far not the best pilot. I'm not the best runner, but I can still play in the front, because I think that I try to think as much as I can to make the smart moves and try to make some economy. I mean, I don't know how to say this, but to preserve my body and my strength.
What's the most critical or vital support you got from your team?
Actually, I think that my team is, I mean, I'm saying this, it's one of the best in the field. It's the team that I've built for the 215 race, and it's almost the same team that I had for 3 races, and they know perfectly what they have to do. I have a full team with a lot of people, and they all have very precise tasks. And there's a lot of teams that were depending on mine actually during. For example, in the glacier, we could, thanks to us, Thomas de Dolodo and Marcus Anders could cross the glacier because we had mountain guides. For example, when we got to Monaco, it was super hot. And when I landed in the middle of the plateau before Nice, and we were almost dying with the heat, my team was there with water, and and Simon Oberreiner could drink because of my team. In Alpe d'Huez, the four athletes. I mean, at least the Swiss guy, Patrick Van Kennel, Thomas de Dorledo, and I. I mean, where we could eat and drink thanks to my team. I mean, they were always there when I needed them. They knew perfectly what they had to do, and they knew perfectly where to be, where to settle, where to be at the exact time. So that, I mean, I almost never hiked alone. I was always with one of my partners. I mean, and it helps a lot mentally to keep your motivations okay. I could, avoid carrying liters of waters. So my team was really always there when I needed them, and it's remarkable. I mean, I give them a huge thanks because they were just marvelous.
What was the best fan or locals experience you had along the way?
I had plenty. When we came to Saint-Hilaire, my brother has been living there for 5 years, and I know a lot of people there. So we had a lot of people coming in and a lot of kids. It was super nice to share this with them. We had also many people during the race that opened their doors and could give us, just a shower or bring some food or some water. During the whole race, we were like pushed by all those guys, all those persons that would just encourage us, and this was just marvelous.
Gaspard, I haven't asked anybody else this, but I would like to get your take on it. You said before the race that the French this year, and I know some of the French that applied that didn't get in are incredibly strong, like Damien Lacaze, who did the Pakistan trip with Antoine, and this last year. Maxime showed that he's definitely just unbelievable pilot and really, really good at this game. He had a little bit of practice with the X-Beer last year and did incredibly well there. But still Kriegel's way out in front. I mean, do you see that anybody really has a chance?
To be honest, I've been racing with Kriegel for 4 days on a Swiss competition in September. Yep. And I had the opportunity or the chance to follow him and to see how this guy works and how he manages to be always in the front. And I have to say that there's no way for me that this guy would be beaten in the next few years. Yeah. Why? I mean, I think that a guy like Maxime is an extremely good pilot, and I think he could be even better than Kriegel's. But the problem with Kriegel is that he doesn't have any weakness. Yeah. So he's probably the best pilot, one of the best pilot, but is also one of the best on the ground. We could see that with the prologue, for example. Mm-hmm. He's even better than Coconea on the great days. I mean, he's a machine now, and he's training for this. And what people don't see is all the preparation and all the knowledge he has. I mean, this guy knows the Alps just like you're a gardener. He knows everything. He knows all the places. When, for example, he has an information like there's 20 Ks in this valley. Well, he knows exactly that means that on this other valley it would be 18, and on the other one it would be 25, and he knows the Alps like you would know your paragliding site, your personal paragliding site, and is also that's the field knowledge, but he also knows a lot of people inside those areas, so he knows like local specialists everywhere. He knows all the parameters that you have to watch out, like for example the wind values. He knows where to pick them, what do they mean, and so it allows him to make the good decisions far in advance. And all this, a guy like Maxime, that is probably one of the only one that could keep up, is far from getting all this knowledge for now. Yeah. So that's why for me there's a huge gap, and it will continue for for some years. As long as Kriegel stays really focused into that, we have to say that Kriegel spent his whole days, day after day, in how to be better in hike and fly flying. This is his whole life, and he spent all his time checking every parameter and and giving his best on every parameter, which is really different from you and me. We have I have kids, I have a job, I have many things to do, and his only matter is just to be a better hike and fly a pilot every day, and he's for sure in this sense. I don't see how in the next few years he could be beaten.
Yeah, I agree. Gaspard, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. We're going to have to do a real show, a mayhem show, just with you one of these days and get all your thoughts on this and a lot more. But this will be great to put all these little pieces together with a bunch of the pilots. So I really appreciate it. Thanks for your time. And again, man, God, dude, you crushed it. Congratulations. A really, really good race.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for asking, and hopefully we can fly a bit together in a race or not. In a Val Bivi stuff or something more softer.
Yes. Oh, softer sounds good right now. My feet are singing. Thanks, man.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the Italian stallion, Aaron Durogati, had an incredible race, had some real bad knee problems after the last one, after 2017, and he was pretty questionable going into this one, but was able to get his knee back together good enough. He did no running whatsoever. This is usually, Aaron's usually a person who does a lot of running, but can't run anymore, and ended up doing something crazy, like only 18 kilometers on pavement, which in this race is remarkable. But so really kind of took it more as an adventure and a mountaineering objective. Had a great support team, and he also said this was by far his best race, not his best result, but he got to Monaco. He was in 9th and did some really cool flying and made some amazing moves in the air. Please enjoy this talk with Aaron Durogati. Aaron, thanks for coming on the Mayhem. I've been excited to talk to you. I'm sorry I didn't see you in Monaco. I didn't want to go down and bear the 40-degree heat after those last 3 stable days. So I hope you had fun at the party. But congratulations on an awesome race. I was cracking up a couple days ago. Maddie showed me footage from the start back in Mozartplatz, and everybody ran by. And then there you were walking, and she said, he didn't even look like he was trying. And I said, no, he was the first to take off at the Geisberg. He can't run anymore on the pavement, but trust me, he's really fast up the mountains. You're incredibly fast, man. And it showed in the race, but great job.
Yeah, thank you. It was a little bit, hard for me to accept the fact to don't run with the other, because usually I was used to be really strong in running, but now I have to save my knee. So I just don't run the whole X-Alps, the prologue, and the start of the X-Alps, which was somehow not easy because this mood in the people and everything, you want really to run. But I was focused on my strategy, and I say I don't run. So I was kind of walking, and everyone was kind of laughing about me because I was far the last, and they was thinking I'm going for a holiday or something. But as soon as the mountain gets steep, then I know I can push, and then I overpass many athletes, and in the end I arrive up, I think, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, I don't know, I just prepared myself and I took off, and then I was, oh wow, I'm the first.
Yeah, that was great. Well, and you had quite a scary moment this last year, right? With the doctor, you went to a very, very good doctor, and in Italy, you were telling me when we were hiking up to that launch, and who basically said, and you're like, Aaron, you're done. You can't keep doing this stuff anymore.
Yeah, actually, it was Austrian doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in Innsbruck. They sent me there from the Red Bull Training Center to have some feedback from him. And it was pretty shocking because after a kind of half an hour talk and checking out my MRI and stuff, he basically say, search a nice job in an office because it's over with the sport.
Crazy. And then you got another opinion, and that one said no, I think it's okay, or?
No, well, anyone told me it's okay, but after I was to this doctor in Austria, it was for sure. I was having 1-2 weeks really hard. But then I was thinking, okay, it can't be that bad, or it should be something I can do. So I find another doctor pretty famous in Italy, which, he say for sure your knees has done a lot and they are not as new, but he decided to do a surgery to me last year in June. And then I did some plasma therapy, like plasma infiltration in the knee and some other treatment. And then I started to do some very specific training in Innsbruck on a training center to build up some more muscle, which can give me more stability. Then I was working with the doctor, which I'm used to work in Merano. Then I did another kind of therapy here around home. So basically, my last 1.5 years was working on my knee, basically. So for the week was focused to get my knee in a better shape.
Well, obviously it worked, so congratulations. But the X-Alps have put your knees through hell, and you made it. So congratulations. And I know your strategy and your attack was quite a bit different than it had been in the past. That instead of running and doing a lot of ground game, you really tried to fly as much as possible, and it really, really paid off. Well, let's get into these questions, Aaron, and these go pretty quickly. But the first is, what, if anything, you've done this race now 4 times, I believe, before. What if anything did you underestimate about this race?
Well, actually, this time was for me far the best X-Alps because I was basically enjoying every single day I could be in the race, and I was able to do that what I like to do, which is basically flying and being in the mountain. So this time for me, it was kind of perfect. I'm also somehow happy with my result because I was the one which was hiking less as everyone, and in the air I was flying, I think, really good. I'm really happy with my X-Alps. I just a little bit fucked up the last day in a way, but I'm still happy I did it like I did because I want to try to get to Monaco on flying, also by flying. And so the route I choose, it was the one which gave me the biggest chance to be in Pale on my glider by flying. But it turns out to be pretty bad because I have a thunderstorm behind me, which was giving me a lot of headwind. And that was for sure like my worst fly in the X-Alps, because I was getting many collapses. I was very low. I was about 2 hours flying without having any landing spot, just 3 below me. And yeah, it was a little bit not super cool, but other nights I really enjoyed the whole time. And I did a lot of vertical meter, but I almost never walk in the flat, and I did all in all less than 30 Ks on the asphalt on the all X-Alps. So
wow, that's amazing. Geez, I did that just on the morning going to St. Hilaire. That's amazing.
yeah, 18 kilometers on asphalt in Saint Hilaire, and I did bit more than 8-9 kilometers towards Monaco the last day when I get on the goal on Pale, and that's all the asphalt I did. So
wow, that's amazing. God, that's that's incredible. Well, you said that you had this kind of fuck up on the last day, but my next question is, what was your biggest mistake? Was it that one, or was it what was the worst mistake in the whole race?
I did a big mistake after Davos, but I was in a way lucky, and after the bad luck, I was lucky, let's say, because when I did Davos, I was third, and I hike up really fast on the takeoff, and where Maxim took off, it was already in the shade for me, so I couldn't take off. So I went all the way up till this valley, which is leading to Kur.
Mm-hmm.
And I was basically just missing one little reach, so maybe 20 minutes to walk to fly basically this valley, which is going straight to Kur. But I mean, there was the thunderstorm coming, but on the east a little bit, it was blue sky, clouds on 3,500 meters. So I was hoping and thinking that maybe the thunderstorm will be just staying in that area of Kur. And so I decided, okay, fuck it, I'm going to take off and fly basically 90 degrees from the route I should fly. But my idea was to fly it on the sunny and blue sky spot, wait there in the air, be high, and then fly back direction Kur. But what's in the end happened is that I took off and I got like about -4 to -5, -6, basically till the ground of the other valley. And I was thinking, okay, now I'm super fucked up. Like a part of having done 1,000 vertical meter in 50 minutes for nothing, I was like 25 kilometer out of the optimal route. But then I was lucky because basically I was 100 meters above the valley floor, above a church. And I was pointing this church in the last 10 minutes of my super sinking flight. And exactly there where I want to have the thermal, where I expect the thermal, I got it. But I was 100 meters above the valley, and I went from 1,000 meters above ground, which was the valley floor, till 3,300, all the way. And then I climbed there to the cloud. I make one transition on the same side of the valley. And then, I mean, it was visible. The fucking thunderstorm was just going in my direction. So then I had to fly towards the thunderstorm and land in the mountain, waiting that the thunderstorm passed. And then I was again on the right valley, let's say. But that was, I mean, you can see my track log in Davos. It's pretty stupid. But from the other side, I was thinking at the moment it was a good idea. And I sure not effective 4 to 6 meters sinking all the way down till the valley floor.
Yeah, I had one of those as well. I think day 3. That's the worst. Okay, maybe that's your best and worst day together, but best day and worst day.
Well, the best day was for sure the third day when I flew from Kitzbühel to Kronplatz and to Lermoos and a little bit further also. So I think it was, I never really checked it, but it should be more than 200. And I crossed basically the main reach of the Alps twice. There I start in the morning. I think I was like 20 something or something like that. And I finish third in Lermoos. So that was for sure the best day. And it was actually a beautiful flight. And I was flying really smart. Like once I passed the valley of Innsbruck, it was a thunderstorm in Karwendel. So I fly a little bit more north. I see there was a convergence. I could follow it. And that day I flew really well. And the worst day, I don't know, like for sure the worst flight was my last flight. But also that in the end turns to be cool because, I mean, like I told you, I was in this valley without any landing chance for 2 hours. I was pretty sure I'm gonna land in the tree. And then basically by fighting, I see one little landing field on the lee side of a little village. It was like 30 meters times 30 or something like that. But then just before I managed to get there, I have to pass one little ridge and I got a huge collapse, which there I was almost sure to crash because I was like 50 meter high and basically the whole glider disappeared. So I was already thinking, okay, I have 1 second. If the glider open, good. If not open, I'm trying the rescue and I hope it's gonna open the rescue. But with 50 meters, it's pretty sketchy. And in the end, the glider just disappeared. But 2 seconds after, it reinflate without having cravat. So that was really good. I mean, I was lucky. I was maybe doing everything perfect, but I think the border between nothing happen and being crashing in the tree was very, very tight. And anyway, I managed to land in that field, in that kind of a field. And then my supporter came and I was still like 700 meter high. So, and for sure, the worst for me, it's to walk downhill. So I was thinking, that's really bad now. So my supporter told me, okay, let's try to hike really on the top and then maybe we can cut some tree and in some way you can take off again. But then we start to walk and on the street, I see like the chance to take off from the street. So I took off again, but my supporter was telling me, Aaron, what are you doing? You know, it's no landing field here. He was almost crying the last 2 hours. So why do you want to take off again? And I say, yeah, because I don't want to walk down. And I see there was like 2 ridges, which I couldn't see in front. And basically I'm an optimistic guy. And I was sure that behind the third ridge, it's going to be something to land. So I took off hope of finding something. And basically after the third ridge, it was like a 10 times 10 meters landable. So I land there. Then again, I was still 500 meter high from the valley floor. So I walked 2 kilometers and then I did the best ever took off of the whole X-Alps because I took from a castle. Like
a castle.
Yeah. It was the only thing which was, I mean, it was not even to think about it, but the street was full of cable and there was tree everywhere. So my supporter went on the castle and there was some little wind. And so, yeah, I say, okay, let's try. And then I went on the castle and I took off from there and I fly all the way down till, before Nice.
It's awesome. Aaron, you're kind of in a similar position to me now with your little one. You had a little boy. I think he's 3 now. I had a little girl right after the last X-Alps. How has that affected because I see, you're doing these huge expeditions to Patagonia and tons of ice climbing and, and I know you're very, very good at what you do and careful, but how has having a child changed how you approach these things that we do and things like the X-Alps?
In a way, it didn't change. And in a way, it changed just in a better way because when I come home, I know I have my little kid and it's my nice girlfriend. I feel more peaceful, but I'm not doing less of the thing I like to do because of a kid in the end. I think to be good for them, I need to be happy. And if I don't do those things, I'm not happy. So I'm just following that what's my passion are. And right now it's still flying and climbing. I'm really more and more into climbing. And probably from a normal point of view, it's not really good at what I'm doing, but I feel okay. And for my girlfriend, it's okay. So we are.
Yeah. And she's a pilot too. So she gets it. Okay. If you could prepare anything differently, and again, you've done the X-Alps now a number of times, so you know how to prepare. But if you could do anything differently than what you did, what would it be?
Yeah, probably I will have to go back maybe 20 years and a little bit saving my knees.
Okay, and the question well, go ahead. What? Sorry.
A part of this, you could always prepare a little bit better, like this Google Earth and knows even better the valleys and the stuff. But I'm not the guys which like so much to plan and to be in front of the computer. So I think I did this time way more than what I did the other years. So I was not so much lost like the other years, because normally I was really lost. This time I was lost, but not that much.
Aaron, do you find, you and I now have done it together 3 times, and you did it once before you did it in 2013 as well. But I found the pace this time just unbelievable. We had in a lot of ways pretty good weather. We weren't dealing with a lot of wind, and we definitely had plenty of thunderstorms and stuff. But I found that this was the kind of the easiest flying weather of the 3 that I've done. But the pace of the teams I have found just so much faster than it was in my first one in 2015. I mean, in 2015, I made so many more mistakes and still got to Monaco in good time and a better place than this time. But this time I felt like, at least for me, I was really doing better than I've ever done. And still there's, 10 people out in front. I just found that the pace is getting really fast. Is that something you're noticing as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think this year, X-Alps, the weather was, it was not a difficult weather because we didn't have to deal with strong wind or super ugly thunderstorm stuff. But in the average, the weather was not that good. I mean, we have a very good the day where I flew Kronplatz and Lermos, and then we had like 3 good days, and then we have really kind of bad days in a way, because like when I was in Swiss, it was raining. When I was in French, it was super stable.
Yeah.
And even of that, we was covering like about 90 to 110 k's air distance a day,
yeah,
which was really impressive. Like, or like I say, I didn't walk at all on the asphalt, but I was doing a lot of vertical meter. Like, I think I did, or I didn't check it exactly, but roughly I will say I did like 45,000 vertical meter.
Yep.
So means I was doing like more than 4,000 a day.
Yep. I think that's kind of where I came in as well. That's a lot.
It's really a lot. And yeah, I think that the level was at least of the first 15 was like super high. Because exactly if I think back at 2013 or 15, by bad days, there was a day, I think in 2013, I did all in all like 40 kilometer, which is less than half of a bad day of this Red Bull X-Alps. So I think everyone become faster and way more efficient, like in the way of choosing the route, in the way of hike and fly, never landing really down, and again hike a bit and then fly again, whatever. So yeah, the level is definitely super high. I mean, if I think with the weather we was having in 2013 or 15, we might have finished this X-Alps in 7 days or 8 days.
Yeah, I agree. Will you do it again?
I think so. Depends what my knee will say about it. But for sure, I'm motivated. Yeah, like I said from the beginning, this time for me was excellent, and I really enjoy. And my team was also really cool. It was the first time I was having Alpine guide, a good friend of mine, which was walking a lot with me, and we was sometimes really enjoying. Like the first day we went up on this Degengebirge, and we was sleeping in the tent, and in the morning having a super nice sunrise, taking off at 6 a.m. We was having really some nice mountain experience, and the general approach of the team was really in a positive attitude, because I was very how to say, like, I didn't promise them that I'm gonna win or whatever. I say, look, for me it's amazing that my knee let me start again this race, so let's try to do our best and let's try to have fun.
Yeah, you guys were having a heck of a battle down there between Monteviso and the end. That was really fun to watch. I was in the soup going into St. Hilaire, so I had plenty of time to just watch and watch live tracking and see the battle going on. It was a lot of changing places. It was fun.
Yeah, but I didn't realize, because I took off with them, and then we had to top land, and I top land differently. Then I was alone, and then I see Gaspard and Tom. I flew a little bit different, and I got really good. So then I overpassed them, and I didn't saw anyone till the next day. Basically, I was flying alone, and actually that day it's happened something really funny, because at the beginning it was really stable and it was super difficult to climb. But once I climbed before the Galibier, the day was good. It was some headwind, but the day was not too bad. So once I was high, I was feeling safe, and I was cruising pretty fast toward Briançon. And then I start to be tired, and I start to almost fell asleep in the air. I was thinking, fuck, what can I do? And I start to sing, but that was not enough. So like having good internet connection, and I basically went on YouTube and I start to watch a music video of the 90s. And I was singing like 90 songs to Brian's. And then I was again awake.
That's good. I've never heard that one, Aaron. Well, hey, man, thank you very much. Again, enormous congratulations. You really overcame a pretty serious knee issue to finish in style. That was awesome to watch and awesome to witness. It was so fun racing with you again and sharing some of that time with you the first day. And yeah, man, that was a blast. But I wish you the best, and Renata and your little boy, and good healing with the knee. And who knows, maybe we'll see each other again in a couple years at this crazy, wacky race.
Will be nice, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, buddy.
And see you soon.
Okay, see you soon. If you find the Cloudbase Mayhem valuable, you can support it in a lot of different ways. You can give us a rating on iTunes or Stitcher, or however you get your podcast. That goes a long ways and helps spread the word. You can blog about it on your own website or share it on social media. You can talk about it on the way up to launch with your pilot friends. I know a lot of interesting conversations have happened that way. And of course, you can support us financially. This show does take a lot of time, a lot of editing, a lot of storage and music and all kinds of behind the scenes cost. So if you can support us financially, all we've ever asked for is $1 a show. And you can do that through a one-time donation through PayPal, or you can set up a subscription service that charges you for each show that comes out. We put a new show out every 2 weeks. So, for example, if you did $1 a show and every 2 weeks, it'd be about $25 a year. So way cheaper than a magazine subscription, and it makes all of this possible. I do not want to fund this show with advertising or sponsors. We get asked about that pretty frequently, but for a whole bunch of different reasons, which I've said many times on the show, I don't want to do that. I don't like having that stuff at the front of the show. And I also want you to know that these are authentic conversations with real people, and these are just our opinions, but our opinions are not being skewed by sponsors or advertising dollars. I think that's a pretty toxic business model. So I hope you dig that. You can support us. If you go to cloudbasemayhem.com, you can find the places to support. You can do it through patreon.com/Cloudbase Mayhem. If you want a recurring subscription, you can also do that directly through the website. We've tried to make it really easy, and that will give you access to all the bonus material, little video casts that we do, and extra little nuggets that we find in conversations that don't make it into the main show, but we feel like you should hear. We don't put any of that behind a paywall. If you can't afford to support us, then just let me know and I'll set you up with an account. Of course, that'll be lifetime, and hopefully you'll be in a position someday to be able to support us. But you'll find all that on the website. All of you who have supported us or even joined our newsletter or bought Cloudbase Mayhem merchandise, t-shirts or hats or anything, you should be all set up. You should have an account, and you should be able to access all that bonus material now. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your support, and we'll see you on the next show. Thank you.